Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube video segment, I'm going to be talking about something which is a topic of strong discussion and figures prominently in a lot of conversations, I believe. Perhaps not as much today as in years past, but still it applies today to some degree. And that subject is prejudice. Now, prejudice, as many of you know, is defined by prejudging, having a preconceived notion, preconception of something. The main thing, as far as prejudices go, it seems like that the main, I guess we could say, part of this or proponent is as far as discriminating against one's color or creed. Now, I look at this, and it obviously, being prejudiced goes beyond this. Being prejudiced is connected with making superficial judgments on people as well, and it's about, like I stated before, as far as prejudging a human being. I mean, I could go into a store. I might not always be meticulously dressed. I don't think I'm disheveled, but I'm not always the best dresser. Now, I might have more money in my bank or in my pocket as opposed to somebody that comes in that's dressed very scrupulously into a T. It's just like we can't, it seems like society now more than ever, I believe, on average, maybe a little bit more superficial than it had been in years past, and a lot of people unfortunately have to pay consequences and repercussions for this that really are absolutely unnecessary, to say the least. Now, we look at some incidences as far as the color of one's skin seems to be the biggest, I would say, topic or subtopic within this topic that I'm talking about. And that shooting that took place in Missouri, I believe Ferguson, a lot of people seem to think that, well, maybe if the person was Caucasian, that would not have taken place. There's a lot of speculation and conjecture that surrounds that, and it's something we'll probably never really know 100%. And maybe it did, maybe race played a role, maybe it didn't. We can't make accusations really on somebody without having that irrefutable evidence. And the way I see things, you don't want to hang somebody and convict them without a trial, even if it's a figurative one. So, but what people have to get out and realize is that we're not colors, we're people. We're all denizens of the human race. Society has made some people colorblind, unfortunately. It's just the way it is. It's not about always what seems fair or what's right, what's equitable, but it is what it is, unfortunately. And I even have to admit, if I'm going down a street at night and for some reason, if I'm not in the best neighborhood, and let's say I saw people of my color approaching me, I might feel a little worrisome, but will I maybe feel more so if it's somebody of a different race approaching me? That could be a possibility, I would say. I'm not, and what it is a lot of times it's because, like with me, for example, I don't believe in being prejudiced, and I don't see myself as a person that is. However, I don't always know what the other people are thinking of me that may be of a different ethnic background. I guess we could say different color is what I'm saying. And that's the problem. I worry sometimes if these people might have some kind of hatred or animosity toward me because of my color, and that's the problem. The thing about it is, a lot of us can be non-prejudicial, but we don't always know who is and who isn't. And somebody we don't know that we encounter can make somebody a little worrisome because of this, especially if the conditions are such where you're in a place in unfamiliar territory, and if you're in an environment that's predominantly another color, and how are you going to, how are you going to feel in that particular situation? So, and look at certain things in life, and really, I think I would say, as far as being prejudice and racism and bigotry, I would say it's diminished over the years. I don't think it's as prevalent as it was, say, even 30, we could say 40 years ago, 50 years ago. I think we've actually come a long way as far as that goes. I believe that people have been able to integrate with each other more harmoniously and more amicably than it had been in years past. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist at all. I think it's still around, though not as prevalent as it had been in years past. It's something that I think what helps is when you have like community boards online and people can constructively talk about these things. I think those things are beneficial if they're put in constructive ways, their feelings on this, and maybe voice some ideas on what can be done to actually diminish it more. I don't think that this will ever be eradicated 100%. I believe it always will be around to some degree, but it's just terrible that it has to exist, and it's something that we all should abstain from. We don't need to be judging others by what they look like, but at the same time, I can understand where, if one, like I stated in an example previously, that if one person is of a certain color and they feel kind of isolated and they're in some area where they're not certain, and there's a lot of people of another race or color, they might feel apprehensive, and I think that can be normal, because that it's something where the person doesn't always know what the other person is thinking. We don't know how others are going to react to us. Most people, I don't know if anybody's really that mediumistic or that psychic where they're going to know 100% how somebody's going to react to him or her, and I think that's what causes that's really the concern, I think, for a lot of people. This is something where we as a society, collectively, we need to just try to understand that life is too short to discriminate and to prejudge others. And really what we have to do is we only people that we should discriminate against are the ones that discriminate against us, regardless of race, creed, or color. So that is very significant, I think. And it goes without saying, I believe, that many of us could actually have experiences with those of a different color that were better for us, that were beneficial and advantageous more than even people of our own race in certain instances. I've had certain people of other races treat me better than some people of my own. So I think you get these, you can get negativity, derisive statements from all races, all colors. I don't think we could really say that there's one group that's really always tactful and diplomatic, and we can't really say there's this one particular group that's constantly belligerent, recalcitrant, or rude. I think we get them in all shapes and sizes, and a lot of that is more, a lot of times that's just something of an environmental thing, or has to do with those person's contemporaries and those that they associate with their peers, and more so than the person's color, I would say, or their appearance. The thing too is, as I stated before, what is important is that this does go beyond the person's color, and a lot of times we get just discrimination on just how we appear in general. And I do believe in a lot of instances that, like, say if you take somebody that goes out to a restaurant and eats, and the person is dressed to a T. I think in a number of instances, I'm not saying everybody because, like I said, we can't stereotype anyway, but in many instances, that person might get treated a little better and get more respect than the person that maybe just came in looking, just wearing casual, conservative clothing. It wasn't dressed like a businessman or something more professional. So I think those are things that you have to really look at. And what's important is that this does the prejudice and discrimination. It goes well beyond what's connected with racism and bigotry, and as far as discriminating against somebody because they have their skin, their pigmentation is different than yours. So I think those are things to really consider in this, and that everybody, that the few people that actually watch this video, the one thing I want to close with is that try as hard as you can to not discriminate against others because of their appearance, the color of their skin. It's just being superficial, and we're in the year 2015, and we have to we have to get past this. And it's something where, like I stated, it's never going to be terminated. I don't think it'll ever end completely, any kind of bigotry or racism, superficiality. But if we all just kind of work the best we can to overcome this, the people that should overcome this, the ones that still feel any kind of racism, because I even had someone that figured prominently in my life so many years ago, and one time she was watching a college, I think it was a college basketball game, and there was a black person went up for a rebound or something. Now, I don't know if he did something funny in her eyes, like he clunked his head on the rim, and she said something like "stupid little," and then she used the N-word. And this was a person that maybe I deluded myself in thinking that there wasn't at least as much prejudice as I thought in her. But when I heard that, I said, well, it just shows me that there's more people that have this in them than they're willing to disclose or divulge to others. And can some people have some discrimination qualities that are embedded in their subconscious, and maybe they're not 100% cognizant of? I think that's possible. But anyway, back to the point. Just people, if you feel you have some discrimination, try to please work on it and see what you can do to maybe somehow at least diminish it strongly. And it just really it's very important to do this, because it's about having peace and having an existence where we don't have trepidation or fear of others because they are of a different race or background. So I think that's really important as well. And people, that's pretty much it for this YouTube segment on prejudice. And until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.